What's driving markets? Welcome to Market Take. Each week, we'll bring you our insights on the latest market and economic trends that are impacting investments. I'm your host, Michel Dilmanian, portfolio strategist at the BlackRock Investment Institute. This week, we highlight how economic rules are starting to put limits on U.S. trade policy. We've flagged how economic rules could bind policy. This played out quickly last week, with the U.S. softening its trade stance on China. This is the strongest evidence economic rules can bind policy, we think. We track these rules instead of trying to predict sudden policy shifts. Decoupling from China, bringing production closer to the U.S., and supply chain diversification are top U.S. strategic priorities. Yet such goals must confront a core economic rule. Global supply chains can't be rewired quickly without major disruption. Tariffs can raise costs, cut access to key inputs, and potentially halt production. China is a key supplier of critical minerals, semiconductors, industrial parts, specialty chemicals, and auto components. Of the areas exposed, electronics, autos, and apparel are among the most important to the U.S. economy. A cooling U.S. stance would point to growing awareness of the risks tied to a supply shock. The binding effect of economic rules on trade policy means it will take time to rewire trade relationships and see the damage from tariffs. So far, analysts have sharply cut estimates for 2025 earnings growth for the consumer discretionary and industrial sectors due to their reliance on foreign revenues and global supply chains. Yet big questions remain about the damage tariffs could cause. Prolonged uncertainty could spur further cuts to earnings forecasts. We look for signs of pressure in corporate commentary on supply chain disruptions, changes in the ability to pass costs to consumers, and shifts in consumer demand. For the magnificent 7 big tech companies, we're eyeing changes to AI capital spending plans. In consumer goods, we eye any impacts from weakening consumer sentiment and higher prices. Here's our market take. Economic rules can bind policy quickly. That's why we see policy uncertainty easing over the next 6 to 12 months, keeping us overweight developed market stocks. For details, read our weekly market commentary. Go to www.blackrock.com/weekly-commentary. Thank you for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this episode, subscribe to Market Take wherever you get your podcasts.
This material is intended for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, a recommendation, or an offer or solicitation to purchase or sell any securities, funds, or strategies to any person in any jurisdiction in which an offer, solicitation, purchase, or sale would be unlawful under the securities laws of such jurisdiction. The opinions expressed are as of the date of publication and are subject to change without notice. Reliance upon information in this material is at the sole discretion of the listener. Investing involves risks. BlackRock does and may seek to do business with companies covered in this podcast. As a result, listeners should be aware that the firm may have a conflict of interest that could affect the objectivity of this podcast. For more information, visit blackrock.com